You walk into a room and immediately forget why you're there. It's not absent-mindedness, it's a neurological reset. Your brain just drew a boundary between then and now, and that boundary is more than just a distraction, it's a deliberate edit to your memory. You've experienced it countless times. Maybe you were heading to the kitchen to grab something, but the moment you crossed the threshold, the thought vanished. Poof, gone. You might be holding something, or maybe you just had it in your hand. Now you're staring at an empty palm, trying to remember. It's not just annoying, it's a reminder that your brain is running its own operating system and you're not always in control. But there's a deeper reason this happens, one that reveals how your brain chops your life into pieces. So what exactly causes your brain to delete your intention the moment you pass through a doorway? This question has puzzled researchers for years, and the answer involves a phenomenon called the doorway effect, a real, measurable glitch in your memory system. Researchers first documented this effect in the 2000s, but the underlying mechanism is still being debated today. It's not about aging or attention, it's about how your brain structures experience. At its core, the doorway effect is a window into the architecture of memory itself. In 2011, cognitive psychologist Gabriel Radvansky at the University of Notre Dame designed an experiment to isolate the effect of doorways on memory. He had participants move objects between virtual rooms on a computer screen. Each object had a name, and participants had to carry it from one location to another. The key difference: sometimes the path crossed a doorway into a new room, other times it stayed within the same room. The result was clear. When participants crossed a doorway, they forgot which object they were carrying 30% more often than when they didn't. The doorway itself, not distance or time, caused the memory lapse. The experiment involved moving a series of objects between tables. After crossing a doorway, participants were 30% more likely to grab the wrong object or forget it entirely. For you, this means every time you walk through a door, your brain effectively closes a mental file folder, and sometimes it forgets to save the file. Radvansky's team controlled for movement speed, visual similarity, and task complexity. The effect was clean and consistent. So the next time you blank after entering a room, your brain isn't failing. It's following a rule that usually works. But if your brain is following a rule, why does it feel like a failure? In 2013, Radvansky replicated the study in a physical laboratory. Participants walked through actual doorways between rooms that were identical in appearance. The forgetting rate was nearly identical. It wasn't the change in scenery, it was the act of crossing the threshold. Even in a real environment where you could see everything, your brain treated the doorway as a reset point. This suggests that the doorway effect is not a quirk of virtual reality, but a fundamental feature of human memory. In this real-world setting, participants remembered their goal about 45% of the time after crossing a door, compared to 70% when staying in the same room. That's a 20 percentage point drop. For you, it means your brain is constantly parsing the world into rooms as separate chapters, and each threshold is a natural chapter break. The study also included conditions where participants walked through doors that led nowhere, like a door frame in the middle of a room. The effect disappeared. The door had to lead to a new space to trigger the boundary. Your brain sacrifices your immediate goal for a reason. That reason is explained by event segmentation theory from neuroscientist Jeffrey Sachs at Washington University in St. Louis. In a 2007 study, Sachs and his team used functional MRI to watch brains perceive boundaries between events. They found that when a boundary occurs, like a change in location or time, your brain's parietal and prefrontal cortices increase activity significantly. Your brain is actively updating its mental model of the current event. It's saying, new event, new set of information. For you, this means that when you cross a doorway, your brain treats it as a natural segmentation point, discarding details from the previous segment that are unlikely to be relevant, but sometimes it discards too much. In a 2014 study, Sachs showed that stronger boundaries produce more forgetting. Doorways are strong boundaries because they involve both a physical and a conceptual change. You're entering a new space with different purposes. So your brain isn't trying to annoy you, it's just optimizing for future action, even at the cost of your immediate intention. In 2014, Radvansky and his team published a follow-up finding. The doorway effect is reversible. If you walk back through the same door immediately, your brain can reactivate the previous context. Participants who reversed their path through the doorway forgot their objects significantly less often. The effect dropped from 30% forgetting to about 10%. This suggests that the event boundary is temporary and direction dependent. For you, this has a practical implication. If you forget why you entered a room, walk back to the door you came through. Your brain might treat that as a backspace key, restoring the prior context. Same studies showed that walking through a different door back didn't help. Only retracing your exact steps worked. So the next time you stand in a room confused, remember that the solution might be behind you. But not all researchers agree that doorways are special. In 2018, a team at the University of Edinburgh, led by David Vinson, published a study suggesting that the forgetting is due to a change in task context, not the physical door. They used a virtual desktop task where participants either crossed a doorway or simply moved a uniform distance. The forgetting occurred even without a door, as long as the visual scene changed. They argued that any event boundary, doorway, screen cut, or even a change in color scheme can produce the effect. It's the update to your mental model that matters, not the threshold itself. For you, this means that doorways are just one trigger among many. But they are the most common trigger in your everyday life because you constantly move between rooms. So here's where that leaves us. The doorway effect is real, but its mechanism is broader than a simple door. Your brain treats event boundaries, whether physical doorways, scene changes, or even conceptual shifts, as points to reset your current context. The debate centers on what specific features of a doorway cause the effect: the physical passage, the visual change, or the cognitive load of adapting to a new space. What's clear is that your brain constantly divides your experience into chunks. And this chunking is essential for efficient memory. Without it, you'd be overwhelmed by a continuous stream of irrelevant details. The cost is that sometimes a chunk gets closed too soon. So when you walk into a room and forget why you're there, you are experiencing a fundamental feature of your memory system. Your brain has closed a chapter it thought was finished, but it didn't bookmark your intention. The door is a boundary, but it's also a reminder that your mind is constantly editing your reality. You can try to outsmart it, walk back through the door, repeat your task out loud, but the effect will still happen because your brain didn't evolve to remember why you walked into a room. It evolved to keep you focused on the new environment. And that's both a bug and a feature. You may never win the battle against the doorway, but at least now you know what you're fighting.